Everybody, so good evening. Welcome to our regularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning Advisory Commission. It is May 1st. Call this meeting to order. Jason, will you be taking roll?
Yes. Christ,
Here.
Lorman,
Here.
Mulligan,
Here.
Norton,
Here.
Russell,
Here.
Zaccaro.
Here.
Great, I've got a full team. Let's see, can we confirm we are in compliance with the Iowa Open Meetings Law?
Yes, we are.
Very good. Okay, so we all had the opportunity to see the minutes from April 3rd. I'll hear any modifications, comments, or entertain a motion for approval as submitted to us.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the April 3rd, 2024 meeting.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. Jason?
Lorman,
Aye.
Norton,
What's that?
Russell,
Aye.
Zaccaro,
Aye.
Christ,
Abstain.
Mulligan.
Aye. All right, those minutes are approved. Okay, so this evening we have two action items. We have two public
Hey,
hearings.
this is Pat Norton. I'll abstain from the vote on that too.
Thank you.
We got it. We have two action items and we have two public hearings. And what we'll do is jump into item number 1, our site design waiver at 1080 East 12th Street. If our applicant is here, come on up to the microphone here and state your name, address, and what it is you're after from the commission.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jordan Pape. I'm the Vice President of Assets at Tucker Freight Lines here in Dubuque. This process started, Rick, probably in 2021, 2022. It's been an ongoing expansion for Tucker Freight Lines since we've grown from about 30 trucks to 300 trucks in the last 6 years, almost 6 years. So as it relates to the site, it's one parcel at the end of our property. You can kind of see it up on the image up there. We had a site plan that was approved. We ran into several issues during construction, and 3 of which were brought to our attention by the city. And so I'm seeking 3 waivers for those tonight. The first one is two have to do with the landscaping on the site, and the other is to do with our screening. So we have screening on the site, which consists of 80 arborvitae, trees, shrubs, whatever you'd like to call them, and roughly 30 natural grasses that we planted. So the screening is intended to, kind of mask our operations, the storage area from the public view. One issue in particular is that when the trees were planted, they were planted in the right-of-way, the red area around the cul-de-sac on the image up there. And so one of the variances that we're asking for is to leave them in place. The city engineering department is willing to approve a revocable license, allowing us to keep the trees there. It kind of ties together with one of the other items on one of the other variances that we're asking for, which has to do with the shrubs. The shrubs were initially planted in the fall of 2022. We spent about $20,000 planting the required screening. Most all of that screening died or did not make it through the winter of 2022, so we had to spend the money again last fall, and replant everything. So far, most everything that we have planted has survived, and a lot of those shrubs had passed away the previous winter as well. And so now that everything seems to be established as we start off in spring, I really would like to not have to do it all over again and have to deal with, I don't know if it's bad soil or what caused the mass die-off of all of our vegetation, but since everything is established and doing well this year, we think that that's a reasonable request. The last variance that we are requesting has to do with the total permeable area on the site. We're supposed to have 20%, which is required by the UDC. After construction, we only have 17%. So I believe the blue areas on the map indicate the areas that are now non-permeable. And so rather than having to go back and tear all that out, we're hoping that you would consider letting us buy with 17% instead of 20%. As a business in the community, not to make excuses or ask for favors, but the continued growth of the company, the space would be much appreciated for use in our normal business operations. That's all that I have, unless there's any questions from the commission.
Okay, thank you, Jordan. Questions?
I do have a question about the shrubs.
Yes.
Where were they to be located?
Sure. Where the mouse is, they were supposed to follow where the green comes straight down and then to the left. Shane, you're running the mouse?
Yep, the two triangular.
So it was, the shrubs were originally planted in one of those green 90-degree angles to the interior of the property. And our landscaper who came back to do them this year ended up planting them around the exterior of the property. So right now, the shrubs that survived and were replanted are classified as screening. They're not classified as shrubs anymore because they're planted in line with the vegetative screening.
Okay, thanks.
So if that's not, if that variance is not, then we would have to plant additional shrubs inside the green area.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other clarifying questions from the commission? Good. Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a seat. Who's taking that this evening? Travis, please,
Yes,
staff
indeed.
report.
Assistant Planner Travis Schrobelgen. So this project did start in 2021, probably. It got an approved site plan in 2022. As is standard operating procedure, we go out at the end of a development and review what was built. In doing so, I noticed the layout was different from what was approved in the plan and what was granted for the waivers. This was previously granted site design waivers regarding the number of trees, gated access, and screening along the east property line. And a copy of that notice of decision is in the packet. So the previously, just to clarify on the shrubs are separate from the screening, which the applicant chose vegetation as screening. So the shrubs themselves used to be planted in the kind of green areas in the corner, and the screening itself outlined kind of the storage yard. So as those were moved to the outside of the property, it kind of changed the look of the property. And we do have a few images here we can break up. So I took these earlier today, and for some reason they didn't port in very nicely, but we got a couple of sharp ones we can share.
I'm gonna reopen them. I think they're all frozen now.
Yeah, just go back to the diagram. Okay, so the site plan approval process does allow for some variation in the site plan and some minor alterations, but this was significant enough in that it didn't meet the UDC standards, so that's required to be approved by the Zoning Advisory Commission. The applicant is specifically asking to waive sections 1344E, 1344F, and 13410B. And that is the number of shrubs. So if you want to pull up the, yep. So, and then there's a table too, I'm sorry. Maybe they can look at that in the staff report, yep. There you go. So they're required 28 shrubs, which was part of the waiver approval previously. I think the site required 24 or something, but in lieu of trees, they had additional shrubs. They are proposing none, and with the new screening location, some of that would probably be behind that screening. So take that as you will. The site landscaping, 14.4E, regarding permeable areas, 20%. So they exceeded 20% previously. The blue area in the north of the project near the cul-de-sac was approximately 5,000 square feet. So by doing that reduced it. Now they're below the requirement by about 2,100 square feet. And the third thing is the exterior storage. And in this case, that's the screening requirement, screening at the edge of the property of storage. The screening is in place and is code compliant almost the entire way, except for in red on that diagram that we showed earlier. And in that area, they are not choosing not to do screening. They're choosing to place the screening, but it's off the site. So by code, we can't count it as on the site. So the proposal is in lieu of on-site screening, they would place screening there. And if those images would open, they are in place. The site does meet the code otherwise. Draining, as far as permeable area, will still drain to the same corner. And there's an intake in that corner, so drainage was not been an issue. The engineering department has approved or pre-approved or noted that they would grant a revocable license for the trees, and there's also some irrigation piping in there. So that's not a major concern from the engineering department's perspective. Those are the three requests. So the commission may establish any conditions to ensure the general purpose and intent of the provisions of the UDC are followed. They may grant, deny, or approve any portion of the site plan waiver request. And then if approved, staff recommends two conditions. One, that the revocable license be applied for and issued. And then in two, in the event that the revocable license is revoked or otherwise made null and void, screening shall be installed on site per the UDC. And it's the affirmation of at least 4 commissioners for a passing vote. That's all I have, unless you have questions.
I do have questions. I hate counting trees, but let's talk about it for a minute. So I recall when we did this a while ago, there was no trees, and now we have trees. Or there was going to be trees and we went down to shrubs or something to that effect, right? Again, I don't want to say there's 27 or 28 or who cares, but because we're not counting what's in the red area from a count perspective, right?
So the screening doesn't count as a tree at all. So the stuff in the red and the screening trees at the perimeter are not shrubs, first sight shrubs. They're separate shrubs.
Okay.
So that's a separate count.
I guess what I'm saying is at least my lens at the time was, let's just plant something there. And it wasn't planted exactly as we wanted. Fine, but they were planted. So I don't want to lose sight of that because that was a big part of the conversation that I recall. So the permeable part, just add a little color to that as we're looking at your colored diagram.
I mislabeled that, by the way, I'm sorry. What's that?
So we're just saying the blue area is,
That's now storage area. It's the same. So the substrate was initially an aggregate, which was requested in the first request. They've since added a binder and rolled it, so it acts as asphalt. So it's considered all hard surface at this point.
okay. And we're parking trailers there, right?
And it's parking,
okay.
storing, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're a growing company, and obviously they're very much part of Dubuque, and they came here once, and I appreciate that. I appreciate their, I don't know who your landscaper was, but we need to talk to them because we missed the marks here. But, okay, I've got what I need. Any additional comments from staff or from the commission or questions for the staff?
Yeah, I agree that the 17% versus 20%, nobody down by the site's going to know the difference. That doesn't bother me. And I think we ought to be able to double count the arborvitae and towards screening and planting.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that part either.
I agree.
Okay, how about I'll entertain a motion from the commission?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to waive the site design standards within Chapter 13 of the UDC with the additions that Travis asked to have added for the
Revocable license.
Yeah, you want me to read those? So that the applicant be issued a revocable license from the engineering department for related encroachments into the city right-of-way. And two, that in the event that the revocable license is revoked or otherwise made null and void, the screening shall be installed on-site per the UDC.
Yep.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and we have a second. Jason?
Russell,
Aye.
Zakaro,
Aye.
Christ,
Aye.
Lorman,
Aye.
Norton,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Aye. Okay, that does pass, and that will not go before city council, right?
Correct.
Okay.
This is the final decision. Yep.
Thank you, Jordan.
Nice job, Travis.
All righty, let's move on to our second item, which is a site design waiver as well for 1100 Lincoln Avenue. Is our applicant
Mr.
here?
Chair,
Yes, sir.
this is Pat Norton. I'm going to recuse myself from this item on the action items in the first public hearing, as my firm did the engineering work for it.
Very good. Thank you.
Justin Lau with Beasley and Associates Surveying and Engineering. We did the initial concept for Jordan Rettenmeyer, and we are asking for a site design waiver for side buffer variances on the parking. I think along with a landscaping variance. Is that right, Sheena? I think we added that in there for.
It's a buffer landscape, so
Yeah.
the buffer and the landscape are together in one
Correct.
requirement.
And that is due to him wanting to build a proposed fourplex on part of the existing site.
I'm sorry, you did the survey?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
I'm sorry, I will let you finish. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, carry on.
There is an existing apartment building, as you can tell on the southwest of that. And I think we meet all the other requirements minus the parking due to having to add the 3 parking stalls for the existing apartment that's there already. And that's all I got. Questions?
I do have a question. Actually, I don't. I'm good. Any questions for our applicant? No. Justin, thank you. You can have a seat. Our staff report is that is Jason. Excellent, thank you.
Assistant Planner Jason Duba. As the applicant indicated, the property owner is proposing a fourplex apartment. This is on a lot that is currently about 13,800 square feet, or about a third of an acre, and it would be split into 2 lots. Lot 2 is for the existing 2-unit residential building. Lot 1 would be for the proposed 4-unit residential building. And in order to be compliant with the UDC's parking requirements, which require 1.5 parking spaces per unit, Lot 1 would need 6 parking spaces. And as you see in the diagram, if the green landscape buffer strips were maintained, there would not be room for the 6 required stalls. In that case, the applicant would have to reconfigure the parking lot or request a parking variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from our commission? I'll make a comment really quick. We went through some parking changes at a very wholesale level, and this seems like a very appropriate spot in the future to consider. This is clearly an area that would love some redevelopment, so just a comment, as you know. Thank you. Any comments from the commission for this one? Very good. All right, I'll entertain a motion on this topic?
I'll make a motion to approve the site design waiver for the buffer around the parking on this property.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Jason?
Zucchero?
Aye.
Christ?
Aye.
Lorman? Russell?
Aye.
Mulligan?
Aye. Okay, that passes. Thank you. And I believe the next item is yours as well. So we will move on to a public hearing. First item being at 1100 Lincoln Avenue. If you'd come up and do it again.
Justin Lau with Beason and Associates. Our client is seeking to rezone that property from R2A alternative family, two-family residential, and that actually is split in half, with the apartment being a C1 commercial. And they are looking to take the north half of that lot and rezone it to R3 moderate density multifamily residential for the fourplex.
C3,
Sounds good. Any questions for our,
R3, who's here?
Oh, look at the wrong sheet.
Terry? Any questions you have?
No,
No?
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
There's a C3.
All right, this is a public hearing, so stating that, I'm going to open it up to the floor. If you have any comments in favor of or not in favor of, we'll ask you to come on up and say what you have to say. So I'll open that up. Okay, seeing none, I will close it. All right, so let's move to our staff report.
Assistant Planner Jason Duba. So as we've been talking about, the existing lot would be split into Lot 2 for the existing 2-unit residential building and Lot 1 for the proposed 4-unit residential building. Lot 2 is improved with a 2-story, 2-unit residential building. It was constructed in 1898 and historically had a ground floor commercial space and upper floor residence. It no longer has commercial space and now has a residence on both floors. Most of the area of the property is undeveloped and was not developed in the past. The R3 district allows for 40 uses, and the R2A district allows for 33 uses. Rezoning the property would allow any of the R3 uses to be permitted on the property. The main difference between R2A and R3 is that R3 allows for up to 6 units in a multifamily residence, whereas R2A allows a maximum of 2 units. 6 units would not be allowed here due to insufficient lot area. The R2A regulations would allow for 4 additional units here currently because it allows duplexes on properties with 25 feet of frontage. Therefore, this property could hypothetically be divided into 3 lots, 1 for the existing duplex and 2 new lots for 2 new duplexes. The subject property is in the Point neighborhood, which is an older, relatively dense neighborhood, mixed use with a number of multifamily dwellings, single-family dwellings that tend to be compact and close together, commercial buildings, and institutional properties. Therefore, rezoning from R2A to R3 should not seem out of character for the neighborhood. The applicant proposes to meet all bulk regulations such as lot coverage, setbacks, and permeable area. With the site design waiver just approved, it would meet the off-street parking requirements of 1.5 spaces per unit or 6 total for the site. The comprehensive plan goals support infill development of vacant land within the city. It also supports a mix of uses that are compatible with each other. It promotes multifamily residential dwellings to provide a mix of housing options in the city. This type of dwelling is often referred to as missing middle housing, and that it provides a much-needed medium-density housing option. Any changes to the site must be reviewed and approved by the development review team. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions for staff? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I move we recommend rezoning lot number 1 from R1 to R3.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Jason?
Christ,
Aye.
Lorman,
Aye.
Russell,
Aye.
Zaccaro,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes, and that will go before City Council on May 20th. Thank you. All right, well, Pat,
Yeah, I'm going to rejoin the conversations.
good. All right, we will move on to our next public hearing at 5501 Old Highway Road. Is our applicant here tonight?
I am Richard Beekler, and we just purchased that lot at 5501 Old Highway Road for our shop purposes. We'd like to rezone that from planned residential, which is, I believe, mobile home, to C3 commercial, so we can put a shop for our business on there, or building for our business, which is electrical contracting and directional drilling.
Really quick. Could you state your address? I think do we need that? Would you state?
My home address, or
Whichever you want.
5501 Old Highway Road. Our business address is, mailing is P.O. Box 707, and my home is 17333 Humke Road.
Great. Sounds good. Okay, so this one will be rezoned to a C3 for a shop for an electrical business? Is that what I
Yeah.
heard? Okay,
Electrical and directional drilling.
okay. Sounds good. Any questions for our applicant? Nope, all right. Can I have a seat?
I guess I do. Oh, sorry. Maybe it's for staff. Okay. Oh, it'll work.
All right, this is a public hearing. I will open it up and I will close it. Very good. Sheena, staff
Yes.
report?
Hi, yes, thank you. Sheena Moon, Associate Planner. So the applicant is requesting to rezone the subject property that's outlined on the screen here before you from planned unit development with planned residential designation to C3 general commercial. The property was annexed into the city in 2000, and at that time was an existing mobile home, a mobile home park, and then was given the designation of planned residential, PUD with planned residential at that time. Since that time, the mobile homes have been removed from the property. As Mr. Bickler mentioned, he is the new owner of the property and is seeking to rezone that in order to have a little bit more flexibility to actually use his contractor shop on the property or construct a contractor shop on the property. So the property is surrounded by county to the north and the west, as well as that triangular piece here, which his residence or part of the property, a residence is on here, which is actually a little island of county zoning as well. The other surrounding zonings are a mix of county and city, but as you can see in the image here, there's kind of a mix of zoning types, including planned industrial all the way to the north, agricultural, some R1 residential, and then additional C3 zonings in the area, most notably right across the Old Highway Road from the subject property. The site is fairly flat. Let's see what else. Looking at utilities to the property, there is water available along Old Highway Road. Sanitary sewer is a little bit more complicated, and it is a good distance away from the subject site, and so that would be something that we would look at during our development review process. Any development on the property would be subject to the city's review by the city's development review team, and so that's something that we would look at to ensure that any type of solution to that issue would be resolved through those discussions. I will just say that, again, with respect to traffic patterns and counts, it's not anticipated that the rezoning of this lot would substantially impact those in the general area. But certainly if the future redevelopment was something that warranted any type of analysis or review, that would be something that would be discussed during the development review process as well. So that's just something to note. Let's take a look here. Staff has currently not received any input either for or against from the public, so there's nothing to note on that matter. And then, let's see here. I believe that's all I had. I will just note that the C3 zoning would allow, 58 permitted uses. They are asking for just the traditional C3 zoning. And with that, staff is happy to answer any specific questions that the commission may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheena.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for staff. I just wanted to clarify that the rezoning is just the hatched PR area?
That is
It's not
correct.
the entire parcel?
Yes, Commissioner Russell, it is just the hatched area
All
that
right.
is outlined in the black and white checkers here in the map before you.
Right, thank you.
Well, this is just a hodgepodge of zoning right there. Holy smokes. I initially would have thought, no way, but that, there's a lot going on there.
Even though there's C3 across the street, it looks like that's just a residence and an empty lot, right?
Currently, that is, the city has had some conversations with that property owner about potential redevelopment of that property as well as plating. But you're correct, and at this time, it is currently, that C3 section is currently primarily vacant, and there is, I believe, one residential structure directly across the street currently.
And there's a
So-
home next door, but it's part of the county?
That's correct. So that yellow dashed line is outlining the county and city boundary. So it really is kind of a merging of these, the two jurisdictions. And as I think it's very much an area that's in transition. If I zoom out a little bit further, I'll pull up my GIS here. We will see, if I can get this, there we go. We will see that, this is just a little bit removed from Dodge and Highway 20. And then along that corridor, obviously, here's the subject property here. There is, an abundance of different zonings and commercial uses as well. So as we zoom out a little further, we really see that there is an additional kind of variety of zoning districts, some commercial service down on the West Side Road. And then to the north, the Dubuque Industrial Center West zoning district as well. So, and then all the properties you're seeing that don't have noted zoning districts on them, those are in the county.
What is in that ag district to the right?
So the ag district here, so this, I believe, is the National Guard.
Guard.
Yes, the National Guard facility, yes.
And that's in the county.
The National Guard facility is shown where my cursor is. The AG is in the city. It's currently zoned agricultural.
Thanks.
Which doesn't seem right either.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
okay. Well, I mean, the fact that 5501 and 5450, 5400, everybody that lives there didn't show up,
Didn't send a letter,
I
didn't?
suspect there's no issues. So,
So there were, notices were sent to people that lived in the county
Correct.
within
Yes,
200 feet?
correct.
Okay.
Yep, whether they're in the county or in the city, the 200-foot boundary applies, correct.
okay, sounds good. Any other questions for staff or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the request to rezone the property from PR Planned Residential to C3 General Commercial.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Jason?
Lorman,
Aye.
Norton,
Aye.
Russell,
Aye.
Zaquero,
Aye.
Christ,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Aye. That motion passes. That will go to City Council on May 20th. Thanks, Richard. All right, that is the end of our items here. Anything from the public? Nope. Anything from commission? Good to see you all. Pat, wish you were here, but phone's fine too. Any items from staff?
No, we have nothing.
You have nothing?
We have nothing.
Okay,
I should have just said no.
that works. All right. Motion for adjournment?
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.